All right, let's talk about one of the most popular and maybe one of the most misunderstood tools in all of technical analysis, the MACD. Now, if you've ever looked at a price chart and just seen a bunch of random squiggles, you're in the right place, because today we're going to learn how to read the secret story that's hidden in there. You know, when you first look at a price chart, it just looks like chaos, right? Just a lot of noise. But what if I told you that inside all that noise, there's actually a story playing out? A story about force, about energy. And it all comes down to understanding one simple idea. And that one idea is momentum. Seriously, that's it. Think of it like the oomph behind a price move. It's the power that keeps a trend going. A strong trend has a ton of momentum, it's got a lot of energy. A weak trend? Well, it's just running out of gas. And the MACD? Well, that's our special lens for seeing this invisible force. So, how do we actually see this momentum? Well, to really get what the MACD does, you can forget about all the complex math for a second. All you need is a simple story, a tale of two trends. I want you to imagine the market isn't a chart. It's a racetrack. Every little up and down in price is just part of this huge, ongoing race. And in this race, there are two runners we need to keep our eyes on. First up, we've got the sprinter. This runner is all about recent price action. They're fast, they're twitchy, they react to everything right away. Then, in the other lane, we've got our marathoner. This one represents the longer, more established trend. They're slower, steadier, they've got that consistent pace. And here's the secret. The whole MACD indicator, this tool that looks so complicated on the chart, has only one job. That's it, one job. It watches the gap between our fast sprinter and our slow marathoner. Is the sprinter pulling way ahead? Is the marathoner closing the distance? That gap is everything. It's the whole story of momentum. Okay, so if the MACD is a race official, how does it report back to us? How do we see what's going on in the race? Well, it gives us this neat little dashboard with three key parts. Let's break down how to read it. So, you're going to see three things on this dashboard, and each one tells us a different piece of the story about our two runners. You've got the MACD line, the signal line, and the histogram. First up, the MACD line. This is the big one. It's showing you the exact real-time distance between the sprinter and the marathoner. When this line is high, the sprinter is way out in front. When it's low, the sprinter is falling behind. Then you've got the signal line. Think of this as a much smoother, slower line. It's telling us the average gap over the last little while. It's our baseline for what's normal in the race. And what about those little bars you see? That's the histogram. And this is where it gets really interesting. The histogram shows us how quickly the gap between the two runners is changing. It's not just the distance, it's the acceleration. So, it's pretty simple. When you see those histogram bars getting bigger and bigger, that means the gap is widening fast. Our sprinter is hitting the afterburners. But when the bars start shrinking, momentum is fading. The race is tightening up. Okay, so we can read the dashboard, we know what all the parts do, but how do we actually turn this into something useful? Let's talk about the two most important signals the MACD is going to give you. The first and most common signal is called the crossover, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's that moment when the fast MACD line crosses over the slower signal line. This is a big deal because it tells us the dynamic of the race is shifting in a big way. So, a bullish crossover is when that fast MACD line crosses above the slow signal line. It means our sprinter isn't just winning, they're now pulling away even faster than average. Momentum is picking up. And a bearish crossover? Just the opposite. The fast line dips below the average. Our sprinter is losing steam and losing it fast. Now, crossovers are useful, for sure, but they can give you false signals sometimes. The really powerful signal, the one that makes seasoned pros pay close attention, is when the price chart is screaming one thing, but our two runners are telling us a completely different story. And this disagreement has a name. It's called divergence. It's a massive warning sign that the momentum, that hidden energy, is not backing up what you see on the price chart. It's kind of like seeing your car's speedometer climbing, but you can hear the engine sputtering and dying. Something's not right. For instance, let's say the price on the chart rallies to a brand new high. You'd think that's great, right? But then you glance down at your MACD dashboard and you see that its peak is actually lower than its last peak. Whoa! Think about that for a second. The price went higher, but the gap between our runners actually got smaller. That is a classic sign that the trend is exhausted and might be ready to turn around. Now, as incredible as all this sounds, we have to pause for a quick reality check.
It's so important to remember what the MACD is and what it isn't. It is an amazing tool for analysis. It is absolutely not a crystal ball for predicting the future.
So here are a few rules to always keep in mind. First, MACD is a lagging indicator. It follows the price, it doesn't lead it. Second, when the market is just chopping around sideways with no real trend, the MACD can give you a ton of false signals. It gets messy. Third, and this one is so important, never use it alone. It should always be part of a bigger toolkit. And finally, for most of us, just sticking with the standard default settings is usually the best bet, because that's what most of the market is watching too.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. Learning the MACD isn't about just blindly reacting every time two lines cross. It's about learning to read the narrative. It's about looking down at your dashboard and asking, okay, what is the story of my two runners telling me right now about the real energy in this trend?
At the end of the day, the MACD's greatest strength is clarity. It just cuts through all that messy price noise and lets you focus on one thing, the underlying momentum. It can't tell you what's going to happen next week, but it can give you a much clearer picture of what's happening right now. And in the markets, that kind of clarity, well, that's power.